Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be comparing the Mercedes C-Class to the BMW 3 Series. Before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to the BMW of Pleasant Grove, Utah for giving me some time with this 3 Series. I'll include a link to their website in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. And then if you have any questions, just ask for Brian. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Now this particular C-Class is the C300, so it has a turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder that goes through a 9-speed automatic transmission. It produces 255 horsepower and then 295 pound-feet of torque. You can obviously get the C43, which still has a 2-liter 4-cylinder, but has much more power, and there's obviously the new C63 as well if you want even more power, but this is the base format. Now under the hood of this BMW is a turbocharged 3-liter inline-6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Power outputs with this are 382 horsepower and then 369 pound-feet of torque. Now this is the middle of the line powertrain, so it would actually be better if I had a C43, but you got to make do with what you have supply-wise. Anyways, you can also get a turbocharged 4-cylinder with the 3 Series, which is going to be more similar to that powertrain in terms of power outputs, or you can go real crazy with the M3. You still have an inline-6, but that thing has like 500 horsepower with the competition variant, and so there's lots of powertrain options with this, just like there are with that. Before we move forward with the comparison, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the C-Class, stylistically it basically looks like a miniature S-Class, so it has more of like a luxury, elegant appearance, if that makes sense. I mean, you can see here with the hood, you've got kind of like softer lines, and then you look at the shape and the size of the headlights, and then also with the grille as well. So this kind of screams luxury. Whereas on the BMW side of things, you can see that it has this more kind of like angular, aggressive front end, which screams more of a performance design with the front end style. Again, two different philosophies, but I think they both look good. But let me know which front end style you like more. Now around the side here at the C-Class, our tire wheel setup is 225/40/19 in the front, and then 255/35/19 in the rear. So slightly staggered setup. This does have the AMG style of wheels, which I think pop quite a bit. Notice the mirror cap is blacked out, and then you guys can see the side view. Again, literally looks like a miniature S-Class, and so it goes with that kind of like softer, more luxury appearance. Now on the BMW side of things, our tire wheel setup is 225/40/19 in the front and in the rear. And you guys can see the wheels are all blacked out. You got the red brake caliper. Notice everything's blacked out here on the side. Again, sportier with the appearance. I mean, look at the side view. Again, more angular, and it still looks like a sedan, just like the C-Class, but it's more of an aggressive sedan. So here's a look at both of the key fobs. They both have the manufacturer logos as buttons, lock buttons at that. You can pop the trunk with both of them, and so yeah, let me know which fob you think looks better, but I think they'll both look cool. Now popping to the back of the 3 Series, this thing's really cool about this segment of cars. It's very practical. I mean, look how much space there is back here. You could fit many, many suitcases in the rear. And when you're all done, by the way, just plop. Now with the Mercedes, just as spacious here in the back, so practicality is also good, but this is fancy. So the BMW, you gotta close it yourself, but with the Mercedes, I guess it will close for you. And this will lead us into the rear style with both the cars. So starting with the 3 Series, you guys can see the low profile spoiler here. Really cool with the taillights, and you got all of your badges here on the back. And then look at the diffuser exhaust tip setup here. Again, aggressive, sporty, goes with the overall theme of this. Now on the Mercedes, not only does it not have a spoiler on the back end, everything's more rounded off here. Look at, you know, kind of like the bottom of the bumper here. Look at the taillights design, and even the exhaust tips, again, kind of leads to more of a luxury appearance. Now in the back of the BMW, you guys can see that we've got a little cargo net back here. We've got some vents, you've got your own climate zone, you've got some USB action as well, and this actually pulls down to be a cup holder armrest, which is pretty cool. Really good looking seats as well. You can see perforated all down the center portion. And look at the door panel as well. It's like soft touch here. Nice material use all over. I'd have to say you got some ambient lighting there as well. And then headroom back here, it's also good. Now inside the back of the Mercedes, I feel like it's just as spacious. They don't really gain or lose space with either one. I like the look of the vents though, that's pretty cool. And speaking of cool stuff, look at these seats here. Pretty fancy looking. And then you guys can see we have our whole setup here in the center as well. And then look at the door panel too. I will say, I think the design of the Mercedes is a little bit cooler looking. And then headroom back here is good. And I actually have a sunroof back here too. That's pretty nifty. Well, now at the front of the BMW, we got a starter up. Ooh, cool sound and everything. So taking a look at the steering wheel, you can see the big paddle shifters there on the back. You got some nice stitching around the airbag cover, M logo there at the bottom. But yeah, I like the overall design, kind of has, again, more of a sporty feel to it. And by the way, look in the door panel, you guys can see soft touch here. We got stuff like memory seats. Again, more of that ambient lighting. Gonna leave this open because it's super hot outside, for those of you wondering. Anyways, full digital gauge cluster here, which I also think is another kind of cool thing. Changes with the different drive modes, which also kind of adds to the fun here with the 3 Series. And then when it comes to the camera system, you guys can see here, got your direction lines to turn up the steering wheel. Lets me know the door's open, cool. We've got parking sensors with it as well. Now this is BMW's new infotainment screen. It is absolutely enormous. Obviously it's connected to the whole gauge cluster setup, so it's just like one giant tablet here. I'd say it responds really well. It's pretty easy to use. Not a lot of physical buttons, so if you're a physical button person, at least in this area, I'll show physical buttons a little bit later, but in this area, you're all kind of to the touchscreen, so yeah, kind of a little bit different there. I do like the fact the climate menu is always available because that's something you obviously use quite often. And speaking of up top, nice soft touch on the dash. You can see with the trim down below, also nice. And then you can see here for like the volume control and all of that. And then down below here, we've got some cup holder action, wireless phone charging pad inside. It's kind of hard to see because of the lighting, but trust me, it's there. This is the analog control for the infotainment system. So I guess if you like analog stuff, this will work for you. But again, it's like you either kind of use this or use the touchscreen. You don't really use both of them in conjunction because they're spaced so far apart. And we have our shifter for that 8-speed automatic transmission. You've got your park function right there. All of your drive modes, your auto hold, engine stop, start, parking sensor, stability control. I do like this trim that goes around, but again, it gives me kind of like sporty vibes, I guess is a good way to put it. Decent center console. And then also the glove box, pretty decent as well. And then we do have a sunroof up top. So it's not quite a panoramic, but it is definitely kind of like a larger sized sunroof. And it's time to start up the Mercedes. Ooh, fancy. So again, more of a luxury appearance. I will say this steering wheel makes a bit of a bigger statement compared to the BMW is the best way for me to put it. I like the perforated texture on the side. I think the paddle shifters, they have a nicer feel and look to them. And just again, kind of a more premium feel inside here. And then you guys can see that kind of continues with the door panel again with the two-tone design. You still have memory seats, you still have heated seats. You've got all of your adjustments for the seats, by the way, on the door panel as well. The mirror's power folded in, and just look at the finish on the controls. BMW still uses kind of like a plasticky finish on some controls, whereas everything here is either piano black, which you might love or hate, but it, you know, it does look a little bit more premium. Same thing with like the light controls. So I think that's something that Mercedes does very well. And then you guys can see here with the center stack, we've got this full digital gauge cluster here. Again, kind of looks more on the luxury side of things. Doesn't really do anything too crazy when you change the drive modes. I mean, that's Sport Plus, for example. It shows more stuff here rather than in the infotainment screen. But there is a bunch of stuff you can scroll through there, like menu-wise. Like it's crazy all the information you can see. You can also make it be a navigation screen, like you can see here in the center too. We have the nav screen. And by the way, it's pop it into reverse. We do have a 360 camera system with this. Shows the doors open, which is kind of cool. But yeah, really good resolution. I think that this camera system, I like it a little bit more than the BMWs. And then as for the rest of the infotainment system, I don't really prefer one unit over the other, but this, you've got like kind of some sort of physical buttons down below. I say sort of because like they're like a lot of it's slider technology. But you know, this is easy to use. And so overall, I think both the infotainment systems are good. I do like this dash design more. Again, it's more on the luxury side, but it's still like, I think that Mercedes did a better job with basically the design. I think the BMW fit and finish might be a little bit nicer than this now because BMW's done a good job with that recently, but I think this design looks a little bit better. You can see that continues with the center console as well. Don't worry, it's my crappy sunglasses. We got a wireless phone charging pad in there, center console, which opens up either side. Got some nice trim here. Pretty big glove box. And then we do have, again, a sunroof up front. So again, we got the two sunroof situation here in the Mercedes. So before we cap things off this video, I want to mention a few things. First off, this is just the walk-around comparison. I will have a driving comparison posted at a later date. I know it won't be a perfect driving comparison because we've got a 4-cylinder Mercedes versus an inline-6 BMW, but I'll focus more on the driving and handling characteristics, like outside of the acceleration, if that makes sense, so that I'll kind of make it more comparable, like, you know, what sets the Mercedes apart from the BMW and what sets the BMW apart from the Mercedes, so on and so forth. Anyways, with that being said, finishing things up with the walk-around comparison, the BMW definitely has a sportier interior and exterior, and the Mercedes definitely has a more luxury interior and exterior in terms of the design and overall theme. So I think that people are gonna like one over the other more. You know, in terms of my personal thoughts, I think I like the BMW styling on the outside a little bit more, but I think I like the Mercedes interior theme a little bit more. But let me know which one you like the most, and I'll see all of you guys in that driving comparison.